All right, so recently I did sort of like my top 10 beast mode performing summertime fragrances. And so on today's list, what I have here is this is going to be my top 10 most refreshing sort of summertime scents that I wear. All of these fragrances, they're not necessarily going to be the most beast mode performing when it comes to like the projection or, you know, the longevity. But these are going to be just really bright, refreshing, you know, smelling fragrances that are perfect for the summertime, in my opinion. All right. So just to get the list started off, I'm going to start off with a fragrance from the house of Molinard, and this is going to be Molinard's Figue. All right. So Molinard's Figue, as you can see, man, I put a pretty decent dent in this fragrance. Most of my fragrances, I really don't have this much of a dent in. Just due to the fact that I have so many at this point, but this is definitely one that I enjoy a lot. This is pretty much, it's like a really, really nice black currant and, fig that you get when you first spray this one on. You do also get some lemon in this one as well, but it's pretty much it's black currant, fig, lemon. And then for the most part, what happens is as this starts to dry down, you start to get that sort of, you know, green sort of fig leaf sort of note out of this particular fragrance. And then it also becomes slightly more drier and woodier as time goes by. But this is really, really refreshing, especially when you first spray this on. The black currant is like really bright and, you know, sort of sharp, I would say, in this fragrance. And then the actual fig in this is very sort of juicy and slightly sweet. So I really, really enjoy this one a lot, man. This is not going to be like a beast mode performing fragrance in terms of projection or longevity. Projection wise, it's going to be, I would say, about average or so for like the first hour, hour and a half. And then, you know, pretty much after that, the total longevity on this is going to be, I would say, about 5 to 6 hours or so for the most part. Some people may even get less than that, more like 4 or 5, but I would say at least 5 would be probably what you could expect to get from this. So again, this is going to be Molinard's Figue. All right, so the next one is going to be from the house of Zara, and this is one of their more recently released, fragrances. However, I do think that this is actually discontinued because I don't see it on their website any longer, and I really haven't been able to see it anywhere else. But this is going to be Lush Vetiver from Zara. So this is just a really, really nice sort of citrusy, I would say citrusy green, slightly sort of dry, you know, woody type of scent, in my opinion. But the way that this opens up, it opens up with like this really, really nice sort of bright, I would say, to me, it kind of smells like a combination of like lemon and grapefruit. It's pretty much what I get from this. And then it has definitely, you know, with the name being Lush Vetiver, it definitely has vetiver in it for sure. And this is sort of like the, in my opinion, kind of grassier, sort of drier vetiver. But it's not like a dirty, sort of stinky vetiver at the same time. So it does, in my opinion, kind of come off as sort of like the dry, green, sort of, but clean vetiver, all right? So that's pretty much what I get from this one. And I mean, again, this one is also not going to be the best performing. It definitely sits pretty close to your skin. And I would say the longevity on this is probably going to be even worse than what you get with Figue. For the most part, this is only going to last probably about 3 to 4 hours or so. But this is a really, really refreshing fragrance to wear when it's extremely hot. So I would say maybe if you're just kind of stepping out for a minute to go run some errands or something like that, and you know you're going to be outside sweating, then this is definitely a good choice for sure. When I was able to pick this up, I believe I got this one for about $35, and this is a 100 ml bottle, I believe. So if you can still find these out there, I would say definitely pick this up. This is a really nice sort of clean, refreshing, easy to wear sort of dumb reach type of summertime fragrance. So again, this is going to be Lush Vetiver from Zara. All right, so the next one on the list, this is actually from the house of Scentual Obsessions, and this is their take on Joe Malone's Wood Sage and Sea Salt. All right. So this is, in my opinion, it's the best sort of interpretation, that I've smelled. I did kind of go over this in a previous video not too long ago. I compared this to Alexandria's version as well as Paris Corner's version of Joe Malone's Wood Sage and Sea Salt, as well as the original. And I mean, at least to me, this was the best one. Now this one does have, I would say, more sort of sweetness than what, Wood Sage and Sea Salt does. Wood Sage and Sea Salt definitely comes off as being much more natural smelling, but this is pretty much that fragrance on steroids, and also again with a little bit more sweetness. I prefer this one because Wood Sage and Sea Salt literally lasted on my skin like, I don't know, 20-30 minutes, and it was pretty much gone. And then the other fragrances like the Alexandria version, as well as the Paris Corner version, neither one of those really actually smelled like Wood Sage and Sea Salt. This one, despite it being, I guess sweeter than the original, this one does still actually smell a lot like Wood Sage and Sea Salt. It's just a lot more intense and louder than what Wood Sage and Sea Salt is. Which in my opinion is a really good thing, because that fragrance, it does smell really, really good. For like, I don't know, the first 5 minutes that it lasts pretty much. And then after that, like I said, it's gone. But this is a very good interpretation of that fragrance. I can't remember if Kevin still has this on his website or not, centralobsessionsperfume.com. But if he still does have this, it may be under a different name or something like that. I would say if you can still find, his version of Wood Sage and Sea Salt, I definitely would, recommend it. So again, this is Central Obsessions version of Wood Sage and Sea Salt. All right, so the next one on the list, this is a fragrance that I've purchased many clones of, and kind of, gone over those different clones on the channel, and, have definitely let you know which ones I thought were closest to the original. I finally just went ahead and got the original, and this is going to be from Louis Vuitton. This is Louis Vuitton's Imagination. So Imagination, this is definitely, in my opinion, it's my favorite scent just in general, but this is a very refreshing, bright, citrusy, at the same time floral and kind of watery type of scent, pretty much. This is the fragrance that I chose to wear today. Today it was about 118 outside, and I had to go out there and, kind of do some grocery shopping. This one, I can say it has gone away, but I mean, pretty much I was like drenched in sweat pretty much once I got back home. So I really didn't expect this one to last too much longer after that. I want to say it probably lasted for maybe about 3 to 4 hours after I got home. So overall, we'll say about maybe 7 hours pretty much is what I got out of this one, which was pretty decent. I definitely get better performance out of this when I'm in more of kind of like a, AC controlled environment or whatnot. But this is one of the most refreshing scents that I've smelled, at least from the sort of Louis Vuitton line, which is why I went ahead and purchased it. You get, just a blast of really bright citruses up top. I believe it's like bergamot, citron, maybe even like some mandarin, I believe. And then you get like this really, really nice smooth neroli mixed with tea and some spices like ginger and cinnamon. It's overall, I would say it's my favorite scent pretty much, man. And this is definitely one that I intend to wear a lot this summer for sure, just because of how refreshing it comes off, especially in the air. So I would say, at least for me, this was definitely worth the $300+ price tag. I would say maybe if you're someone who doesn't necessarily want to spend that much on it, possibly get, maybe like a decant or something like that from a site where you can, maybe pay what you can afford for it. But at least for me, this is definitely worth it. All right. So again, this is Louis Vuitton's Imagination. All right. So the next one on the list, this is going to be another sort of niche style fragrance. And this is going to be from the house of Byredo. This is Bal D'Afrique from Byredo. And by Byredo's Bal D'Afrique, this is pretty much like I would say this is probably one of the most refreshing scents really on this list pretty much. This smells like, you know, like a really sort of fizzy, yet at the same time kind of syrupy Sprite, mixed with like, you know, black currant pretty much. Black currant and vetiver, but this comes off as being like really refreshing, fruity, really sort of fizzy, you know, when you first spray it on. And then over time, this does start to become a little bit drier. You know, once the vetiver starts to come out, I believe this may also have like some woody notes in it as well. But this is also another one of those fragrances that are going to be perfect for this time of the year where it's extremely hot. And you know, you just want to have something really light, fresh and clean. This is definitely going to be it. And this also does have pretty decent performance as well. It projects pretty well for the first hour and a half, and at least on me lasts about 7 to 8 hours pretty much. All right, so again, this is going to be Byredo's Bal D'Afrique. All right, so the next one on the list, this is going to be a cheaper fragrance. This is going to be from the House of Paris Corner, and this is a part of their North Stag line, and this is Quatre. So this is going to be a twist on a fragrance house that won't be named, but you know, if you're familiar with this fragrance, you know what this is pretty much inspired by. This is pretty much going to be like a blast of like orange citrus. So mandarin orange, I would say, kind of like orange, like the actual juice, like orange juice pretty much, or like the flesh of the orange, mixed with sort of like the rind as well, so kind of like an orange zest. Slightly sort of, you know, musky as well on this one. Definitely not as musky as what the original fragrance profile is, but it does sort of have that muskiness to it. This definitely though is, I would say, sweeter than what the original fragrance is. But this does perform better, at least on me, than what the original does. So I tend to get around 7 to 8 hours with this one for the most part. With the original, it's definitely a little bit less than that. But I really enjoy the way that this one smells, man. And this is for sure, I would say, one of my favorite, you know, clones from, you know, Paris Corner pretty much. So definitely, man, check this one out. Again, this is going to be North Stag Quatre from Paris Corner. All right, so the next one I have here is from the House of Armaf, and this is going to be Club de Nuit Sillage. So Club de Nuit Sillage, this is their take on Creed Silver Mountain Water. This is an extremely good, you know, interpretation of that fragrance. Quality wise, you know, at least when you first spray it on, obviously it's not going to smell as natural smelling as what the Creed does, but I mean, pretty much once this settles down, this smells, at least to me, pretty much identical to the original from Creed, except this actually, it has better projection and much better longevity for sure. So this is easily going to last over 8 hours for sure. And this is also going to project, I would say, pretty beast mode, at least for like the first hour and a half, 2 hours or so. Much more than what you'll get with the original Creed fragrance. And I mean, I would say really for the price that you pay for this one, to me anyway, it doesn't, I don't necessarily have the desire to go out and purchase the original one. But if you're not familiar with the way that this one smells, this is pretty much, I would say it's like a sort of sharp citrus bomb in the opening. So you get a lot of like really sharp citruses, and then once it starts to dry down, you get like this really sort of smooth, calming, you know, green tea note for the most part, mixed with those citruses, and I believe some florals as well, like white florals. But this is just, it's a very refreshing scent. I tend to, you know, put this one on a lot when I'm like fresh out the shower. Especially at night. It's just the perfect sort of fragrance for that. And it just really has like a really sort of calming, relaxing sort of feel to the fragrance for sure. So definitely, man, check out Armav's Club de Nuit Sillage. All right, so the next one on the list, this is also going to be kind of like a green tea sort of based fragrance. This is from the house of Elizabeth Arden, and this is Elizabeth Arden's green tea. All right, so Elizabeth Arden's green tea. This is a really old fragrance. I believe this came out at some point in time, like in the, I don't know, the mid 90s, mid or late 90s, something like that. But this is going to be another one of those really refreshing fragrances, man. It starts off pretty citrusy as well. And then I would say the green tea that you get from this is actually going to be a little bit more on the sort of more realistic kind of greener side than what you would get with something like Club de Nuit Sillage or, you know, Silver Mountain Water. This one to me definitely comes off as being a lot more green, pretty much. But even though this one doesn't necessarily last or project that long, I would say for the most part, you know, you're only going to get probably about 2.5 hours pretty much out of this one before it's time to respray. And you know, the projection is going to be pretty close to your skin. As long as you can smell it, this is a really amazing fragrance to wear for sure. It's just going to be one of those fragrances that you'll probably either want to have a decant of, you know, to carry on you and kind of refresh every couple of hours, or, you know, possibly even the full bottle. With as slim as what this bottle is, you could easily fit this bottle in your pocket. So, you know, that's definitely something that you could do if you wanted to. But yeah, man, this is a really, really refreshing, you know, like I said, citrusy, but at the same time, kind of green, sort of tea-like fragrance, for sure. So definitely check this one out. This is Elizabeth Arden's green tea. All right, so the next one on the list, this is going to be from the House of Fragrance World, and this is their take on Aqua Celestia, and this is Barakkat Aqua Stellar. So this is good, man. This is really, really good. So this is going to smell like, I would say, like a tropical sort of alcoholic drink pretty much when you first spray this on. Now as it dries down, it definitely is going to, you know, lean more towards kind of like the sort of floral side. But at least when you first spray this on, man, this pretty much, it smells like you just got doused, I would say, with like a tropical sort of alcoholic drink pretty much. It's slightly boozy, fruity, I would say kind of watery as well. Definitely, you know, it does have a watery sort of feel to it. I believe that this is actually inspired by like the sort of Aqua Celestia, I believe, what is it, the Forte Cologne or something like that. I believe that's more so what this one is actually inspired by, rather than the like original sort of Aqua Celestia. But either way, I would say whether it's this scent profile or the original, both for the most part smell about the same. This one just maybe with a little bit more wateriness pretty much, which I think is what makes this one slightly more refreshing. But again, man, if you're into that sort of style fragrance, you know, something that really smells tropical, smells, you know, sort of exotic, you know, fruity, sort of boozy and alcoholic, but yet at the same time floral, slightly feminine leaning, then I would definitely say that this is a good choice. And again, this is going to be Fragrance World's Barakkat Aqua Stellar. All right, and then the last one on the list, man, this is another one from Zara. This is also discontinued, unfortunately. And this one is going to be Zara's Vibrant Leather Cologne. All right. So this is pretty much their sort of twist or take on Dior Homme Cologne. And this is really, really good. Now, I haven't actually smelled the original Dior Homme Cologne, but at least from what I get with this is you get like this really sort of crisp lemon. I would say more so kind of lemonade, not just, you know, actual lemon, but definitely more of sort of like a lemonade. Pretty much if you were to have a lemonade, but you put in like some ginger in it, Like it definitely, it has that sort of slightly spicy, zingy sort of, you know, ginger sort of smell that you get. That's pretty much what I get with this fragrance. Now, to my knowledge, the original Dior Homme Cologne doesn't have any sort of ginger note. This one definitely does. And I think that's what makes this one, you know, different from, you know, what the original Dior Homme Cologne is. Um, I would assume that I would probably enjoy this one over the original Dior Homme Cologne, just off the simple fact that I really, really enjoy the way that ginger smells in most fragrances. Um, and the way that it's done in this one is it doesn't come off as being too spicy, but it's enough of it in this fragrance to where it does kind of give this fragrance a slight sort of bite to it, all right, which I do really, really enjoy. The projection on this is not going to be super crazy. It's definitely going to be a pretty close to your skin sort of scent. The longevity on it is also not going to be the greatest. I would say at the most you'll probably get like around 4 to 5 hours pretty much with this fragrance. But again, when you spray this on, this is going to be extremely refreshing and cooling. And it's going to smell again like lemonade with, you know, basically ginger added to it pretty much. So definitely, if you can find a bottle out there of this fragrance and they're not charging, you know, hundreds of dollars for it, then I would definitely say pick it up, because this is a very sort of underrated fragrance that unfortunately was discontinued by Zara. So again, this is going to be Zara's Vibrant Leather Cologne. All right, so that is the list of my most refreshing summertime fragrances that I have in my collection. Let me know what you all thought of the collection, and definitely let me know if you all have any of these fragrances. Do you also agree that these are really, really refreshing summertime fragrances? So definitely let me know in the comments. And again, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Scents. I'll see you on the next video.